Analysis.
Analysis.
A detailed analysis of the week's news. Further analysis of the data is needed. They were doing some type of statistical analysis. Do you agree with Marx's analysis of the failure of free market capitalism? Analysis of genetic material.
Blood samples were sent for analysis.
You'll get the results when the analysis is complete. She's been in analysis for 3 years. In the final analysis, profit is the motive.
Analyst.
Analyst.
Political analysts expect the Conservatives to win. Cleary has been working as a computer analyst in Winchester.
Analytical.
Analytical.
She's got an analytical mind. During the course, students will develop their analytical skills. Analytical chemistry.
Analyze.
Analyze.
Anaphylactic shock.
Anaphylactic shock.
Anarchic.
Anarchic.
A lawless, anarchic city.
An anarchic sense of humour.
Anarchism.
Anarchism.
Anarchist.
Anarchist.
Anarchy.
Anarchy.
The prison is close to anarchy. The classroom was in a constant state of anarchy. The nation is in danger of falling into anarchy.
Anathema.
Anathema.
His political views were anathema to me.
Anathema.
Anatomical.
Anatomical.
An anatomical examination.
Anatomist.
Anatomist.
Anatomy.
Anatomy.
A professor of anatomy. Knowledge of human anatomy is essential to figure drawing. The anatomy of the nervous system.
You could see a part of his anatomy that I'd rather not mention.
Elkin's book is an anatomy of one man's discussion with his son about life. For the first time, we have the chance to examine the anatomy of a secret government operation.
Unce.
Unce.
His sudden appearance. Her brilliance.
Ancestor.
Ancestor.
My ancestors were French. Lions and house cats evolved from a common ancestor. Babbage's invention was the ancestor of the modern computer. The family's ancestral home.
Ancestry.
Ancestry.
Her mother is of German ancestry. Helen's family can trace their ancestry back to the 1700s.
Anchor.
Anchor.
The ship was at anchor. We dropped anchor a few yards offshore. The next morning, they weighed anchor and began to move south again. Dan Rather, anchor of the CBS Evening News. Dad was the anchor of the family. 3 tankers were anchored in the harbor. The shelves should be securely anchored to the wall. John's outlook has always been anchored in the political mainstream. Steve anchors the team's defense. Her life was anchored by her religion.
Collins anchors the 6 o'clock news.
Anchorage.
Anchorage. Anchorage.
Anchor baby.
Anchor baby.
Anchor person.
Anchor person.
Anchor store. Anchor store.
Anchovy.
Anchovy.
Ancient.
Ancient.
The ancient civilizations of Asia.
The religion of ancient Egypt.
An ancient walled city. An ancient forest. The ancient art of calligraphy.
That photo makes me look ancient.
A professor of ancient history.
It's all ancient history and I'm not upset anymore.
The ancients believed that the sun and moon were planets.
Ancillary.
Ancillary.
Agreement was reached on several ancillary matters.
NC.
NC.
Expectancy. Hesitancy.
Complacency.
And.
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 He's gone to get some fish and chips.
The film starred Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine.
We've dealt with items 1, 2 and 11.
He was tall, dark and handsome.
He plays the guitar and sings folk songs. She didn't speak to anyone and nobody spoke to her.
Sit down and tell me all about it.
She picked up the kitten and put it in the box.
He knocked on the door and went in.
You'll have to wait and see what happens. I missed supper and I'm starving. She fell downstairs and broke her leg.
6 and 4 is 10.
Shall we go and have a cup of coffee? I'll see if I can try and persuade her to come. And now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Mrs. Thompson.
She's getting married in June. And who's the lucky man?
More and more people are losing their jobs.
We waited for hours and hours.
That was years and years ago. We ran and ran.
104.
576. By the year 2010.
3 3/4.
In about 2.5 hours' time.
5.25%. They said this guy was an expert. Yes, but there are experts and experts. I'm sorry. And I promise it won't happen again.
Andante.
Andante.
Androgynous.
Androgynous.
Bowie had a kind of androgynous sex appeal.
Android.
Android.
Andropause. Andropause. Anecdata. Anecdata. All this is just anecdata, when what we need now is some hard evidence of what UK firms are doing.
Anecdotal.
Anecdotal.
His findings are based on anecdotal evidence rather than serious research.
Anecdote.
Anecdote.
The book is full of amusing anecdotes about his life in Japan.
Anemia.
Anemia.
Anemic.
Anemic.
Anemone.
Anemone.
Anesthesia.
Anesthesia.
Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist.
Anesthetic.
Anesthetic.
Anesthetist.
Anesthetist.
Anesthetize.
Anesthetize.
Aneurysm.
Aneurysm. Aneurysm.
Anew.
Anew.
I was ready to leave everything behind and start anew in California. The committee is going to examine the whole situation anew.
Angel.
Angel.
The angel Gabriel.
That little girl of theirs is an angel. Sam is no angel.
Thanks for mailing those letters. You're an angel.
Be an angel. And get me my glasses, will you?
Angelic.
Angelic.
She had an angelic smile, but a dreadful temper.
The angelic hosts.
Angelica.
Angelica.
Anger.
Anger.
There is growing anger among the people against the government. She struggled to control her anger at her son's disobedience.
That's a lie, he shouted in anger.
He joined the club last month, but has yet to kick a ball in anger. What angered me most was his total lack of remorse. Environmental groups were disappointed and angered by the president's decision.
Anger management.
Anger management.
Angina.
Angina.
Angle.
Angle.
An angle of 45 degrees.
The angles of a triangle. You didn't measure the angle accurately. The angle between walls and ceiling.
We're approaching the issue from many different angles.
Look at every angle of the situation.
There's another angle to this question. This drawing of the monastery was done from an unusual angle.
Some of the pictures have strange camera angles.
The portrait was hanging at an angle.
The sign leaned over at a slight angle. My head struck the angle of the shelf.
A mirror angled to reflect light from a window.
Philip angled his chair towards the door. The book is angled towards a business audience.
She was obviously angling for an invitation.
I didn't want him to think I was just angling for sympathy.
Angle brackets.
Angle brackets.
Angler.
Angler.
Anglican.
Anglican.
Members of the Anglican Church.
Anglicize.
Anglicize.
Leszek anglicized his name to Lester.
Angling.
Angling.
Anglo.
Anglo. An Anglophile.
An Anglo-Scottish family. An improvement in Anglo-American relations.
Anglo-Catholic. Anglo-Catholic.
Anglo-Indian.
Anglo-Indian.
Anglophile.
Anglophile.
Anglophobe. Anglophobe.
Anglophone.
Anglophone.
The U.S. and other Anglophone countries.
Anglo-Saxon.
Anglo-Saxon.
Angora.
Angora.
Soft pink Angora sweaters.
Angry.
Angry.
I was angry because he hadn't told me his plans.
He was beginning to get angry.
His comments brought an angry response from opposition politicians.
Calm down, she said, looking at his angry face.
Jessie laughed, which made me even angrier.
Please don't be angry with me, she said.
They are angry at the way they have been treated.
Kate's still so angry about the whole thing.
The workers are angry that they haven't been paid for the week. David was angry with himself for letting the others see his true feelings.
Joey reacted angrily.
Angry young man. Angry young man.
Angst.
Angst.
Love letters full of angst.
Angsty.
Angsty. Angsty teenagers.
Anguish.
Anguish.
The anguish of not knowing what had happened to her.
An anguished cry for help.
Angular.
Angular.
A tall, angular young man.
A cubist painting with angular shapes.
Animal.
Animal.
Furry little animals. Cattle, sheep, and other domestic animals. The cosmetics have not been tested on animals.
Beth is an animal lover.
He can't stand cruelty to animals of any sort.
The animal welfare movement in Britain.
The enormous diversity of the animal kingdom.
Man is a highly intelligent animal.
Football hooligans are just animals. Writing email is a very different animal from all other forms of writing. He is simply not a social animal. A diet rich in red meat and animal fats. Animal husbandry.
Animal husbandry.
Animal rights.
Animal rights.
Bill has been involved in the animal rights movement for years.
Animate.
Animate.
Animate beings.
Animate.
Laughter animated his face for a moment.
Animated.
Animated.
The performance was followed by an animated discussion.
An animated Disney film.
Animation.
Animation.
They used computer animation in the film.
3D animations.
They were talking with animation.
Animator.
Animator.
Animatronics.
Animatronics.
Anime. Anime.
Animism.
Animism.
Animosity.
Animosity.
There is no personal animosity between the party leaders. She felt a certain amount of animosity towards him.
Animus.
Animus.
I have no animus towards Robert.
Anise.
Anise.
Aniseed.
Aniseed.
Ankle.
Ankle.
Janet slipped on the stairs and twisted her ankle.
Slender ankles.
Anklet.
Anklet.
Annals.
Annals.
One of the most unusual cases in the annals of crime.
The Annals of the Zoological Society.
Anneal.
Anneal.
Annex.
Annex.
The Baltic republics were annexed by the Soviet Union in 1940.
Annex. Annex.
Some of us will be sleeping in the annex.
Annihilate.
Annihilate.
Just one of these bombs could annihilate a city the size of New York.
Tyson annihilated his opponent in the first round.
Anniversary.
Anniversary.
Jack and Kim celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary in January.
A huge parade was held on the anniversary of the 1959 revolution.
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini.
Annotate.
Annotate.
An annotated edition of Othello.
Announce.
Announce.
They announced their engagement in the Times.
The government has announced plans to create 10,000 new jobs.
A government spokesman announced that the hostages had been released. At the end of their meeting, it was announced that an agreement had been reached.
Corden announced his resignation to staff members on Wednesday.
I'm not going to their party, Maggie announced.
He stood up and announced that he was ready to go.
We arrived just as they were announcing the arrival of Flight 207 from Minneapolis.
All visitors to the apartment building must be announced.
After announcing himself at the reception desk, James was led upstairs.
Announcement.
Announcement.
The minister made the announcement at a news conference.
An important announcement about tax increases.
They heard the announcement that the mayor was resigning.
A wedding announcement in the local paper.
Announcer.
Announcer.
Annoy.
Annoy.
What annoyed him most was that he had received no apology. She annoyed him with her stupid questions.
It really annoys me when I see people dropping litter.
Annoyance.
A look of annoyance crossed her face. To his annoyance, he discovered they hadn't waited. Kelly shook her head in annoyance.
Alan found the constant noise of the traffic an annoyance.
Annoyed.
Annoyed.
I'll be annoyed if we don't finish by 8.
She was annoyed with Duncan for forgetting to phone.
He was annoyed by her apparent indifference.
Mr. Davis was annoyed that the books were missing.
Annoying.
Annoying.
An annoying habit of interrupting. The annoying thing is he's usually right. It's annoying that we didn't know about this before.
Annual.
Annual.
The school trip has become an annual event.
A household with an annual income of $60,000.
Annualized. Annualized.
An annualized inflation rate of 15%.
Annually.
Annually.
The jazz festival is held annually in July.
Annuity.
Annuity.
Annul.
Annul.
Their marriage was annulled last year.
Anode.
Anode.
Anodyne.
Anodyne.
Anodyne topics of conversation.
Anoint.
Anoint.
The anointed king.
He was anointed with sacred oil.
Anomalous.
Anomalous.
A highly anomalous situation.
Anomalous results.
Anomaly.
Anomaly.
In those days, a woman professor was still an anomaly.
Various anomalies in the tax system.
Anon.
Anon. Anon. Anon.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Every step will be taken to preserve your anonymity. One official who spoke on condition of anonymity said the White House took the threat very seriously.
The anonymity of city streets.
Anonymize.
Anonymize. All the data we gather will be anonymized to protect the participants' privacy.
Anorak.
Anorak.
Anonymous.
Anonymous.
The anonymous author of a collection of poems. The anonymous donor of a large sum of money.
According to one employee who wishes to remain anonymous, the company engaged in illegal activities.
An anonymous donation of $5,000.
Anonymous housing estates.
Anorak.
Anorak.
Anorexia.
Anorexia.
Anorexic.
Anorexic.
Another. Another.
I'm going to have another cup of coffee. There'll be another bus along in a few minutes.
Buy 2 CDs and get another completely free.
Is this another of your schemes to make money?
Not another word was spoken. Oh, look, there's another one of those birds.
This misunderstanding is yet another example of bad communication.
We'll have to wait another 3 weeks for the results.
There's still another £100 to pay. They must have returned by another route. We finally moved to another apartment.
Helen resigned from her last job and has yet to find another. I'm busy right now. Could you come back another time?
The gold watch was a present from another of his girlfriends. She spends the day rushing from one meeting to another. They seem to love one another very much.
The streets are all at right angles to one another.
All the kids in this class have learning difficulties of one sort or another.
People who, for one reason or another, can't have children.
Small businesses have been collapsing one after another.
Oh no, not another accident.
It is true that his program is original, though whether it is funny is quite another matter. It is one thing to talk about involving the students. It is quite another thing to actually do this.
And another thing. You were late for work again this morning. Warnings that not enough has been done to prevent another Chernobyl. There'll never be another Elvis Presley.
Answer.
Answer.
You don't have to give them an answer now.
Every time I ask him about it, I get a different answer.
These are important questions, and we want answers to them.
She's still waiting for an answer from the school.
The honest answer was that I didn't know. He was never able to get a straight answer about why it happened.
It's impossible for me to give you a definite answer at this time.
The short answer is that it can't be done.
In answer to your question, yes, you can go.
If it's money you want, the answer is no. What was the answer to question 4?
Score 2 points for each correct answer.
Did you ever get an answer to your letter?
There is no simple answer.
The police do not have an answer to rising crime.
Some people think cars should be banned from the city, but I don't think that's the answer. If he could get a job, it'd be the answer to all his worries.
I tried calling him all day but couldn't get an answer.
I tried knocking on her door, but there was no answer.
He acts like he has all the answers.
The Space Needle is Seattle's answer to the Eiffel Tower.
She thought for a moment before answering.
He still hadn't answered my question.
Why don't you just leave? I'd like to, she answered, but I have nowhere else to go.
When questioned, Hughes answered that he knew nothing about the robbery. How much was it? Come on, answer me.
Answer as many questions as possible in the time provided. Simon got the job by answering an advert in the paper.
How do you answer the criticism that your government has done nothing to help the homeless?
The army answered by firing into the crowd.
You can borrow my car if you like. Well, that answers one problem.
Our transportation system is designed to answer the needs of the city's commuters.
A man answering the police's description was seen entering the building.
Don't answer me back, young man.
Their coach must answer for the team's poor performance. I'm sure John will help us. I can't really answer for the others.
Phipps answers to me and me alone.
A well-dressed young woman answering to the name of Suzanne.